I'd been coming to Gaza for several years, so I was familiar with the place, I was familiar with the culture, the people.
I was meant to be in Gaza for 24 hours. My boss told me to go inside, and there was a quick interview they needed doing, and he wanted me out the next day so I can be back in Jerusalem.
Because of the importance of Gaza and what it really meant for our network, and the chance to be really the only foreign journalist to be based in Gaza, I took the opportunity and decided to move there.
The night before the first airstrike, things had actually got a little bit better in Gaza in terms of the blockade. So I definitely went to bed that night thinking, I'm going to be here for 2 more days. That's it. Ayman and I were having coffee in a coffee shop in Palestine Square.
When we heard the first loud explosion.
And we just froze. Everyone in the coffee shop froze.
The waiter came running over.
And he goes, it's all right, don't worry, it's a sonic boom.
But this definitely felt a little bit, stronger than just a sonic boom, which I'd experienced in the past.
So we all went to the window.
Within seconds, we heard yet another explosion.
And we started to see people running.
And fleeing in the direction of where that first explosion took place.
And then that's when this text messages started to come through.
It was clear at that point
that there was a series of airstrikes that are taking place across the Gaza Strip and inside Gaza City, which is, that's when you know it's serious.
And that's when we immediately left and, ran into action, if you will. Doha, can you hear us? Certainly very disturbing news for many Palestinians this morning as they were hearing these airstrikes. Over 30 in Gaza City alone and throughout the entire Gaza Strip, reaching 40 according to the officials here. For the time being, though, reaction has come swiftly and angrily from the Palestinian factions here, with Hamas calling it a massacre, vowing to revenge this morning's Israeli airstrike, which the military is describing as just the beginning.
We just thought this was, what we had all been expecting, which is a big blitz, and then that's it. On that first day of the war, there was shock around Gaza.
Communications went down. It was very difficult to reach anyone. It was impossible to reach anyone at the hospitals, to get any kind of casualty figures. So it was definitely, a few hours before the magnitude of the attack really settled in and we realized what was happening. What had become so visible in those first 24 hours was that everything in Gaza was being hit.
I went to the Shifa hospital, which is the main hospital in Gaza. I was there for about 10 minutes when I started to grasp what was going on. As I was walking in through the parking lot, there were dozens of people coming towards me, and they had blood all over them, or they were on a makeshift stretcher, or they were just on the floor and they were bleeding. And I hadn't even walked through the front door yet. As I looked around me and I saw ambulance after ambulance of people dead and injured being either taken through that door into the ICU or taken around the back where the fridges were. It was as if the whole of Gaza was dying on that day.
10-year-old Joma was waiting for his mother to pick him up from school when the missile hit. My head hurts so much, he tells me. And I don't know what happened to my friends. His UN school happens to be next to a police station, and the strike hit at precisely the time children were going home.
And I turned around to my cameraman and he looked at me and he said, "That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like Gaza is dying today." And I sent him to go and film round the back where the fridges are. And he came back to me after 15 minutes and his face was white. And I said, "I'm really sorry that you had to do that. We need those shots. And, are you okay?" And he said, "Yes, I'm fine, but I just saw my cousin." It brings this home to you that everyone that you're working with, your cameraman and your sound man and your driver, they were all living this with you. They were all suffering from what was going on.
The hospital is chaotic. Hundreds of people are just standing around waiting. There aren't enough beds to treat the injured. There isn't enough spaces in the wards for the family members who are waiting. Meanwhile, doctors are telling us that they're running out of every supply, from solutions to gauzes, and right now one of their main problems is that they're running very low on almost every single type of blood.
In the first couple of days, when we started getting calls from international media outlets to report for them what was happening in Gaza, we started getting a sense of how important our role was. And we had an immense obligation to carry out our jobs, and so that really gave us the strength to overcome any personal fatigue, any personal insecurities, any personal concerns that we have, knowing that, what we were doing was being watched by people all around the world. I focused on the news and focused on the events as they were happening. Airstrikes has given them a chance to go out, try to make it to the supermarket, try to...
Get cover there. Eamon, do we need to let you take cover? It sounds like strikes are resuming.
And Shireen, very bravely and courageously was going out every day and risking her life to tell the stories and the suffering of the people.
We went to see Ra'id and Wafa al-Ramli, who live with their 3 children just next to the ministry complex of the deposed government. More than a dozen Israeli missiles hit the complex within a matter of minutes at 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. The family were asleep at their neighbor's house at the time.
I went in and spoke to them, and it became very natural. I just had the camera on the whole time. They told me their story. And just as we were talking, somebody got a phone call and they ran in and they said, "Everyone evacuate. The military have called and they've said that this area is going to be targeted again right now. You've got 5 minutes."
We can hear the sound of the Israeli drones just above us, and there's word that we may have to evacuate the area because the ministry buildings are just to our left here, but not very far away at all. And that is why everyone is moving whatever they can and trying to get out of here. But the problem is, where can everyone go?
And for me, the defining moment was that girl, the young girl, the daughter, and the look on her face. That look that she had on her face, as if, where am I going to go, epitomized the whole problem. If you're going to tell people to run, and if you're going to warn them, surely you have to provide some sort of safe haven. Surely you have to provide an area that they can go to. There were no bomb shelters. There were no areas where we thought, okay, well, that's safer, so let everyone congregate there. There's no early warning system that you can hear an alarm and go and look for safety.
1.5 million people telling them to flee, but not giving them a place to flee.
as the airstrikes continued, everyone expected there had to be another phase to this war. That if Israel really did intend to get rid of Hamas's infrastructure, its security apparatus, to stop the upper echelons from functioning, it had to come into Gaza City, and it would have to do it by land. So there was an expectation that this would be the next step. When that was coming, that was the question.